This typhoon short summary is going over Typhoon Ida of 1964. She was also called Seneyang or Seneyang, however you pronounce that. That is the Philippine name for Ida because the Philippines like to have their own separate names and conventions for their tropical storms. I don't like it, but I'm not going to stop them. Not like I can. Ida, like many tropical systems that would form in 64, and what I can only presume would be a general trend of how these things form for the most part. Again, I don't know if this is truly the case. Anyways, would form from an interaction of a polar trough and a very weak tropical wave on August 1st. She would become depression status on the 2nd, approximately 300 miles southeast of Guam, and would become typhoon intensity 2 days later, so taking a total of 4 days to become a typhoon. Ida, just making sure it's the right thing to do, just, taking its time. Ida would strike northern Luzon at maximum intensity on August 6th, with winds of 155 miles per hour, just 3 miles per hour short of Cat 5 equivalents, and a pressure of 925. This thing is a very high Category 4 at this time. It also had a peak width of 575 miles across. Ida would path only 65 kilometers southwest of Hong Kong, striking Guangdong province as a typhoon on August 8th. Should then trek more northwards into inner China and dissipates finally on the 12th. As you can imagine, being a Cat 4 upon striking Luzon, there was severe crop and flood damage. In total, the damage amount would equal roughly 25 million US dollars. The United States Navy evacuated the naval base in Sopik Bay and evacuated into the South China Sea. This is to prevent any damage of ships in dock and also allows ships to veer and steer into the winds to allow them to actually survive much better. On top of this, approximately 11,000 were evacuated in total. I may believe that this was just from Hong Kong. I'm sorry, I forgot. Hong Kong would issue a typhoon signal number 9, the second highest that they can issue, the highest obviously being number 8. No, just kidding, that's number 10. The highest they can issue is 10. Despite the fact that Ida would only hit, again, south of Hong Kong and only as a Cat 1 upon landfall, Cat 1 equivalents, I should say, it still spawned number 9. Storm surge would reach um, to around 4 feet in Quarry Bay, and gusts from Ida on Luzon would reach around 140 miles per hour and wipe away over 200 homes. Ida would manage to loose a freighter from its moorings and run it aground. This freighter would suffer damage to its bilge, the bilge of a ship being the bottom hull, and is the true definition is it is the part of the ship that would rest on land if there was no water. So, makes sense that the bilge would be damaged there. Checks out. Ida would in total leave more than 9,000 homeless. Probably much more. I'm going to give my own personal estimate of maybe up to 11,000. The total casualties included around 100 deaths, tragically, and there is an unknown amount of people injured from this storm. As I mentioned before, Ida is a very strong Category 4. Pardon me there, sorry. In fact, being only 3 miles per hour short of being classified as a Category 5 super typhoon on the Saffir-Simpson scale when converting. Um, the super typhoon name is not official in any West Pacific conventions for tropical system scales, so super typhoon is kind of an unofficial thing. As you can imagine, also because Luzon was struck at near Cat 5 equivalent, like I mentioned earlier in the impacts, Luzon, all of its communications, just nearly all of them were disrupted in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, telephone poles are going to be down and just all around mayhem. Ida is also one of 8 Cat 4 equivalent storms of 1964, a very staggering amount. And if you are going through the playlist here of the 64 typhoon season, which you don't need to, there are some that I've left out because they are a Cat 5 in open water and then struck land as a storm or a depression and didn't really do too much. And lastly, Ida would be one of 2 storms to strike Hong Kong. Hong Kong was not directly. Um, Ha- Ida did not make direct landfall on Hong Kong, but Ruby, on the other hand, came pretty damn close too. In fact, I'm pretty sure Ruby did. Typhoon Ruby is not a typhoon that I will be making a video on, although, you know what? Scratch that. I probably should. I might. As of right now, I have not. Ruby would end up being the second worst typhoon at the time to ever strike Hong Kong or impact it, and caused over 700 deaths in Hong Kong itself. A quite a powerful typhoon. If I'm not mistaken, Ruby actually struck near Hong Kong as a Category 4 storm instead of south of it as a Cat 1 equivalent. So very, very powerful. But that is all that I have for Ida, folks. I hope that you learned something. That's, of course, the point of these short summaries. And I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Again, thank you so much for watching.